Hello folks, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be having a look at yet another Baofeng which is trying to replicate the looks of the Quansheng. Not quite sure why Baofeng keep doing this, but the first attempt at it was the Baofeng UV K6, which attempted to copy the looks of the little Quansheng UV K6. They didn't quite succeed looks wise because the Baofeng was actually a lot bigger dimensionally than the Quansheng, and if you saw them side by side, it was immediately apparent which one was the Quansheng and which one was the Baofeng, disregarding the nameplate, obviously. But Baofeng seemed determined to get a radio that looks even more like the Quansheng, and they have now brought out this radio, which is the Baofeng UV K6, which looks even more like the Quansheng UV K5. In fact, if you put the two of them side to side, they are very close dimensionally to each other. The Baofeng still is a little bit larger than the Quansheng, but only just. And as we can see, the screens now look very similar dimensionally. They're almost identical in size, whereas the Baofeng UV K5 of course had a much larger colour screen. So why on earth are Baofeng doing this? My only thoughts can be that the little Quansheng UV K5 proved to be a very popular radio, mainly from the point of view that you could update the firmware on it and play about with the firmware. That combined with its very cheap purchase price made it an extremely popular radio. And I think that Baofeng have been trying to chase that popularity by producing a radio that, to all intents and purposes, looks almost identical to the Quansheng, but specification-wise, again, the Baofeng has some important differences in that with the Baofeng, once again, you cannot update the firmware on the Baofeng UV K6. It's not upgradable, it's not changeable like it is on the Quansheng. So if you're thinking of buying the Baofeng to upgrade the firmware, I'm afraid it's a big no. You still can't do it on a Baofeng. Quansheng is still unique in that it's the only one which you can actually upgrade the firmware on. So that's that. But as I say, Baofeng have certainly pulled out all the stops here to try and produce a radio that looks almost identical to the Quansheng. As I say, if you didn't have the name label on them, you'd be really hard pushed to tell which one was which. But there are some subtle and important differences in the radio. So we'll just have a closer look at the new Baofeng UV K6. It's got all the usual sort of Baofeng features. If we start and look at the top, it's got the flashlight on the top, which is operated from the button on the side. If we turn it on,
channel mode,
we'll see that the K6 now has the simpler orange background screen. It doesn't have the full colour screen that the UV K5 Plus has. It just has a simple orange background screen. But that aside, again, if we operate the side button on the top here,
on,
we get the FM radio.
Off.
If we operate the lower button on the side, we'll get the flashlight coming on, one press, second press, flash, third press, off. So all pretty standard Baofeng buttons there, and on the top, of course, we have the push to talk button on the very top there. So push to talk button, FM radio, and flashlight button on the side. Comes with a rather nice little rubber duck antenna on the top. Fairly standard stuff there, nothing too surprising. It has this orange on-off volume button on the top, which again is a direct copy of the Quansheng. I actually quite like the orange on-off button. I think it's an improvement over the standard on-off button that you find on the likes of the UV5R. So yeah, I quite like that. And of course it has the little guard around the button as well to stop you accidentally adjusting the volume or whatever. So all fairly standard stuff on the side, on the top. If we come round to the other side, again, fairly standard stuff. Rubber flap over the 2-pin Kenwood type connector on the side, which you can use for programming the radio and also for using the earpiece, which comes packaged with the radio as well. Underneath we'll see another little flap there, but there's actually nothing underneath that. It would have been nice if they'd put a USB-C charging port in there, but they didn't. But there is still a USB-C charging on this radio. If we look round the back, we can see that down here we have USB-C charging, which is actually on the battery, not on the radio. So yeah, that's quite a nice feature. In addition to, as we can see here, it comes with a cradle charger as well. So the cradle charger will probably charge the radio up a lot faster than the USB-C, but it's always nice to have USB-C charging on a radio as well. It comes with a belt clip. This one is actually a bit of a change from the usual Baofeng belt clip in that it's plastic. Normally the Baofeng belt clips aren't plastic. They come with 2 screws which screw into the back of the radio and make a nice solid connection. This, to my eyes, seems a bit of a retrograde step, although it's easier to fit. It's plastic, and I don't think it will be as sturdy as the screw-in type, but it's certainly easier to fit. It just slots straight in there. Comes with a lanyard, optional whether you fit that or not, but it comes with it anyway. The battery itself is, I think it's a 2600 milliamp hour battery. There's just a simple clip on the bottom which you release, and as we'll see here, the battery is indeed a 2600 milliamp hour battery, so quite a beefy little battery there. It's actually quite thick, and it's 2600 milliamp hours. If we look at the label under the radio, again we can see the frequencies, the TX, the transmit frequencies that are covered by this radio. 136 to 174 megahertz, 200 to 260 megahertz, and 400 to 520 megahertz. So it's what you would call, I suppose, an unlocked radio. It's not locked to any particular ham bands. It will transmit on any frequency within those ranges. But it is tri-band. It's nice to see that it's actually tri-band on the TX. So it will transmit on the 1.25 meter band, which is probably of interest to anyone living in the United States. Not so much here in the UK, where we don't use that band, but it certainly is available there if you want to use it. So yeah, all in all, a nicely built little radio, feels solid in the hand, and the battery is a fairly hefty little one. When we come round to the front, it's interesting, as I say, the screen now is very much like the Quansheng one. It just has a simple one colour display. If we look at them together, the Quansheng just has a plain white background by default, whereas the Baofeng has the rather nice orange background. But again, it's not a full colour screen, it's just the one colour background with a non-colour screen. If we look at the, as I say, the Baofeng UV K6, it came with the full colour screen.
Welcome. Channel mode.
With the blue background and the RSSI meter on it. That's not present in the new model. It's a simpler screen layout on the new model. So not such a fancy screen on the new Baofeng UV K6. But if we turn it on, as I said, we can see it has the plain background orange screen. The buttons on the front, anyone who's familiar with the Baofeng will be immediately familiar with the V and M button, which of course is your frequency mode or channel mode. Switches between them, the V and M button.
Frequency mode.
The A and B button switches between your top frequency and your bottom frequency. You'll see the little arrow there will move from the bottom to the top. So that's nice and simple. Can change from the top to the bottom frequency. However, there is a third button on the UV K6, and that's this little button here, which we don't normally see featured on a Baofeng, but that is actually a frequency search button. If you hold that button down, the radio will go into search seek mode. So if another radio keys up within the vicinity of your radio, the radio will then capture that frequency along with any CT, CSS tones or whatever it's using, and it will display that on the screen. So a nice touch there to have a separate button for that feature on the radio. The menu system, again, we have our menu button down here. Pretty standard layout menu. There's quite a few menu items to scroll through. Channel name, your tones, all the usual stuff in there. Switch between high and low power, you know, nothing too surprising there. Fairly familiar for anybody who's familiar with the Baofeng memory layout. It has quite a few options on there, including, I think it has a stopwatch feature. Not that I don't think any of us will ever be using that one, but it is in there. I don't know why on earth they put that in there, but it is there. You can change the brightness of the screen, you can change the timeout on the screen, etc, etc. There's our stopwatch, good grief. And it shows you the firmware version, etc. So pretty standard layout menu on there.
Cancel.
As I say, much smaller screen than the UV K5 Plus. It's not full color. Just has the orange background. With you can reverse that screen lookout, but I prefer it just the way as it is. And again, you can change the timeout on the backlight to always on or a number of seconds. Yeah, so a really nice little radio. it's multiband receive. As I say, it will receive the 350 to 390 range as well as the usual ranges. Plus, it has AM airband receive as well. So that's another nice feature of the radio. Again, it's using slope detection, so probably not the greatest audio on the airband feature, but at least it does have it. So it covers 108 to 136 AM airband receive. So again, a nice feature to have on the radio. Now, there is a bit of an issue with the software for programming this little radio. You can, of course, program it from the front keypad, but I always prefer to use software to program these little radios. And I did have some difficulty tracking down suitable software for this. I thought, because it's so similar to the Baofeng UV K6 Plus, that the software for the K5 Plus would work on the K6, but it doesn't. The radio's not recognized in that. So I did try a few other options in Chirp, the usual suspects, apart from trying the K5 software. I tried the UV5RM, that didn't work. I tried a few of the UV17 range, and that didn't work either. So I was stumped. I was at a bit of a loss as to finding programming software for the radio, but I did eventually track it down, and it's available on the Baofeng Radio UK website, not baofengradio.com. but the baofengradio.co.uk website. You can find software, CPS software, which will work with this radio. I'll leave a link in the description of where you can find that software for anybody that wants to use CPS software for programming the radio. It does have a flaw, though, although the CPS software works perfectly fine for programming your normal channels. It has a slight flaw in that it doesn't cover airband. As we can see, I have the software open on my laptop here, and if we look at the top, we will see the frequencies that it covers in the software are 136, 174, 200 to 260, and 400 to 520. There's no mention of any airband support in there, so 108 to 136 isn't covered. So you can't actually input airband frequencies into that software. So the only way around that is to put your radio into VFO mode and
Channel mode. Frequency mode.
type in your airband frequency manually. For instance, we'll put in 118.300,
0,
which is my local airband tower. And as you see, whenever you put in that frequency, it will change from frequency modulation to amplitude modulation, and you'll see that on the screen. There's a little AM feature will come up on the screen to show that it is indeed modulating in AM as opposed to FM. So it does offer full support for airband receive.
1, 4, 5, 5, 0, 0.
And again, the little AM icon will disappear from the screen when you type in an FM frequency. So yes, it does support AM airband reception. It's multiband receive and tri-band for TX. I will do a power test on it, but I'll probably save that for a later video. I just wanted to have a look at it today to show you the little radio and the features on it. So I'm actually quite impressed with it. I quite like it. The little speaker grill on the front. The audio seems quite nice on it. I'm not sure if the speaker's much bigger than the one that would be in the Quansheng, but certainly I have no complaints about the audio on it. The airband feature seems to work quite well. Again, it's not particularly brilliant because of the slope detection method of receiving AM, but it does in a pinch. It's a nice feature to have. And again, the radio can be programmed via software using the CPS software from the link that I'll provide, downloadable from baofengradio.co.uk. That's the only place I could find suitable software for programming it. Just on the programming, when you are programming the radio, of course, you plug in your radio, read from the radio, and save that default file first. And when you're writing new frequencies to the radio, don't start with a blank sheet. Use the file that you've downloaded from the radio as a template and edit that file with your own frequencies and then write that to the radio. That's the way to program the radio via software. So yes, all in all, very nice little radio, multiband with airband. Tri-band TX on 2 meters, 70 centimeters and 1.25 meters. So yet another Quansheng lookalike, but again the firmware as of this date and time is certainly not upgradable on it, unlike the Quansheng, whose firmware is upgradable. As for price, I bought this one for £23. That's just slightly under $30, and that included taxes and delivery from China. I bought it from Global Walkie Talkie store on AliExpress, which is where I buy a lot of my radios from. I've always had good service from them, and they're a very reliable seller. If you're thinking of buying this radio, they actually have it on offer at the minute. I think it's something like £12 before the taxes, so it is an absolute bargain at the minute if you buy it from Global Walkie Talkie store. I'm not affiliated to them, by the way. It's just who I buy my radios from. I've had good service from them. So if you're thinking of buying one, I would snap one up quickly, because even without the present discounted price, the radio is tremendous value for money. It's cheaper than the K5 Plus, and it's a real bargain. It's quite, as I say, a feature-packed little radio. It does pretty much everything you'd want of a Baofeng. Multiband receive, tri-band TX, programmable via the software. So yeah, all in all, another attempt by Baofeng to copy the Quansheng. They seem to be getting closer every time. If we look at them from left to right, the first attempt, the UV K5 Plus, big old radio, a lot bigger than the Quansheng. Their second attempt, the UV K6, we're getting closer. Dimensionally, it's almost identical to the Quansheng. Still a tiny little bit bigger body-wise, but the screen is virtually identical. Got the orange background on the Baofeng.
Frequency mode.
White background on the Quansheng. Still not firmware upgradable, so Don't be thinking you'll be able to do that on the Baofeng. Quansheng is still unique, and that's the only one that you can upgrade the firmware on. Personally, I'm not convinced, that upgrading the firmware to expand the frequency range is all that great a thing anyway, because after all, the little radio was designed as a 2 meter 70 centimeter band radio. Yes, you can expand the bands exponentially with different firmwares, but again, the performance and reception isn't going to be great on a little radio that was primarily designed to be a 2 meter 70 centimeter radio. So there you have it, folks. The Baofeng UV K6, another Quansheng copycat radio. Nice multiband, fully featured radio. So hope you enjoyed that little review. As I say, I will do a power test on it on a later video, but that's it for now, folks. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you feel you want to subscribe to the channel, feel free to do so. But in the meantime, hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.